Hello, hello, cool cats. Welcome to our weekly live show here at Pros and Babes. I'm Kenya Romanovska, your main host here and the founder of the MomBA, leading program for leadership and personal growth for STEM and STEAM moms in North America and beyond. Today's topic, I designed a title that maybe would poke people a little bit to grab your attention, but it's a very important topic and I don't think we discuss it enough. And I'm actually flying for a conference tonight to speak about it to the Women in Mining and Nuclear group in Saskatchewan. And I hope it's going to make you think, and I hope it's going to make you look at this specific budget in a very intentional way. So let me pull up my notes for you here. In typical mom circles, in typical working mom circles, we don't talk about our time and energy bank generally. We don't talk about our spheres of impact where we are going to make the most lasting impact in our communities, in our work, in our families, for our environment, in our hobbies, right? We don't necessarily map that out. And it's certainly pretty rare to talk about a long-term vision. This is the starting point for all of my conversations with my workshop participants and my clients. We take a step back and we look at the long game and what you are building. And typically, when we talk about 25 years vision, it can feel like a long time horizon, but there's a big important check that comes with that vision. I call it the 2018 550 check. 218550. I always trip up when I see that number. But that represents the number of hours that you will have in 25 years. And I don't know what was your initial reaction when you heard that number, but I don't think that it's a huge number of hours. And the first time I discovered the concept of looking at my time in bulk like that was a couple of years ago from a book that was talking about a time audit, a weekly time audit. So if we zoom back out and think that every week we have 168 hours, I don't know how many of you who are listening to the show today have actually taken a look at how you spend your time and have done a time audit on when you sleep, when you eat, how much time you spend on chores, how much time you spend on things that really matter, like connection and your hobbies and sports. When we become a mom, I think our calendars get really, we change our relationship with our calendar and our time. We don't feel like we have that same time freedom anymore. And if you become you finish maternity leave and you become a working mom, it's easy to fall into the pattern of there's never enough time. There's never enough time. I hear that all the time, this overwhelm. I have a hard time asking for help. There's never enough time in the day. I don't have time for myself. And that can be pretty destructive in the long term when you think about that, when you think about your life that way, about your time, about your energy, and certainly what you're teaching your children about that, right? So in 168 hours, you will spend 56 on sleep, 40 to 60 on work, and then you have 52 to 72 hours left for everything else, right? So there should be time for what really matters to you, but we often spend it on things that maybe don't matter as much, or we don't learn to use the hours we have in an intentional way to have quality time. And when you multiply that on a really large scale, like almost 220,000 hours, you'll work for about 100 and you'll work and sleep for about 120 hours of those, but you should have about 100,000 left for everything else. To me, when I realize that we spend maybe more time sleeping than working if you work a typical 40-hour week, and because so much is centered around our work life, it was a huge eye opener. When I started making more intentional transformation on my mindset as a working mom, stopping to see myself as a victim of the motherhood penalty of the system, and actually deciding to dedicate the time I had outside of working hours and child caring to transforming my thinking, this concept was a huge eye opener. We waste so much time on drama, possibly on scrolling on social media. And even when I recently did a yearly time audit, I was estimating what my next year is going to look like. I made a list of all the activities that I perform in my personal life and my business. I came up with about 80 lines, although I think there are more. And I estimated how much time I spent, even though we get help at home, cleaning, decluttering, and with other support systems, I still realized how much time I was spending on those aspects, much more than some areas that I want to make an impact in. And it was a huge eye opener because I've been doing these exercises for a long time. I've been looking at my calendar, at my energy, at my impact for a long time. And I would say that I'm a pretty advanced student of time management and energy management. So, what about people who have actually never thought about it, who haven't had role models of working women asking them about their time and energy management and their energy as a currency? My main message in today's recording is for you to be open to changing your relationship with time. Do a time audit. I started off with a weekly time audit. I certainly found that it had its limitations because I like to see the big picture of my life. When I'm doing long-term business planning, business in the beginning, I did well and I'm doing well, but it's a long-term game that requires a lot of strategy and persistence. And so I'm trying to focus on the activities that will have the biggest impact on my business, on my family, on my life. And it requires me to be very, very focused and strategic. So looking at my time, organizing my time, populating my calendar with activities that truly matter on the personal and work front is primordial to me. And my recommendation to you, if you're listening to today's recording, is start by doing a time audit. And if you say, I don't have time, book time in 90 days to do it and get childcare to do it. It's your most finite and non-renewable resource. We don't know how much time we have left on this earth. Every day is so precious. And I certainly don't want to wake up in 5 years thinking I always felt like there wasn't enough time for what mattered, right? This week, I'll give you an example. We decided to renew a subscription for a food delivery service. We decided to try it out, and actually I decided to get 2 boxes, and I realized what a huge impact it had on my quality of life. We've tried a variety of food plans. I have this digital calendar that hangs with a rotating food plan. We even have shopping lists associated to it, but it's certainly a big part of the mental load to think about that. And as much as it has helped us, there's still so many grocery trips. There's way more cleanups. There's more food waste than when we actually have a delivery of food that comes to our house. I estimated that we probably save 10 to 15 hours per week with this food delivery service. And even if there's a slightly higher cost, and maybe it's not this food delivery service that I will stick to, it's impacted my family's routine so much that when I looked at how I spend my time and how I want to be spending my time with my family, I realized that I'm probably going to accept paying, if I can find the right food delivery service with the quality of ingredients I want, that I will probably likely want to accept the additional cost because it saves us so much time in the car, planning, unpacking groceries, cleaning up, going to multiple stores to get ingredients that we don't have at one. And instead, I can translate that into quality time and a much better routine with my family. So here's my message for today. Think about your time, energy, and your time and your energy as a currency, as a non-renewable currency that you get every single day. And if you have the perspective of, I don't have enough time, there's never enough time in the day, you're going to keep producing more of that. If you set the intention for the coming year to take a step back, actually map out, make a list of everything that you do, make a list and identify the things that only you can do in your family and your personal life. I always say that the number one thing you can't outsource is your values. There are certain things that only you can do for your kids because that's how you want to raise them. But there are other things that I'm gonna say it like we say in business, it's literally below your pay grade. And depending on what you want to achieve and how you want to live in your life, like you have to open yourself up to outsourcing, to getting help, to restructuring what you say no to, because otherwise you're going to wake up in another year thinking you've said yes to way too many things and feeling on the fast track to burnout, to exhaustion, to resentment, right? And to saying yes to non-promotable tasks. So again, I'm going to do a quick recap. I can't cover everything in this session. Actually, I would encourage you, if this topic is of interest, many companies are reaching out to me to do workshops on this topic. So I have a full deck, I have workbooks, I have a list of all the tools that I use to manage my calendar, from like the long-term big picture vision to 1-year planning booklets to my 3-year arc, 5-year seasons, quarterly plans for productive seasons, timetables, right? And literally how to break this down on a day-to-day basis. I love mastering it down to an art and science. I don't know why. It gives me a lot of pleasure to have a good relationship with my calendar and to know where my energy and focus is going, to think about it critically and to maximize the impact I want to have on my kids and on the women and parents I serve in Pros and Babes. So your first step, if you're listening to this recording, is to do a time audit. Look at your week, look at your timetable, divided mainly in categories: work, commute, cooking, cleaning, quality time with kids, hobbies, health, right? There's like roughly about 10 groups of activities, and estimate how you spend your time. And then how much time would you get back if you eventually hired somebody to clean and declutter your house, or if you did something like outsourcing food prep, right? How much is that worth to you? To me, sitting down at the table with my kids when they come back from school and my husband comes back from work is absolutely priceless. And before we implemented the system, it actually wasn't going exactly that way, right? So it is priceless to me. And I would love to find out what is priceless to you. Again, circling back, many companies and even conferences are reaching out to me. They're interested in this specific topic. And so I'm glad to come and do corporate workshops if you find that your colleagues could benefit from a reset on what it means to manage your time and energy in a different way, in a way that makes you happier, more productive, and more rested. We all have the power to make some adjustments, even today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do that time audit. Send me a message if you want more information. I'm available for quick coffee chats for anybody who wants more of a roadmap, and certainly consider signing up for one of our workshops. They're advertised all over social media and in our email campaigns. We have one coming up in a few weeks, in October, if you're listening to this. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.